Hey guys, it's Danny. Today we shall do an undoing. We shall undo a bad repot on this orchid. Now, I recently repotted this one in March of this year, but I really dislike my repotting job here. The fact of the matter is, I did a bad job at repotting this orchid for whatever reason, and I cannot sleep at night because I have issues. So today we are going to repot it, even though this is not something usually advisable to do. However, there will be instances, I'm sure, in your orchid journey where you will think, oh man, it keeps me up at night, I need to repot that orchid. So we're gonna talk about those instances and how to do things properly. So first, let us start with reasons that I consider legit. Although any reason can be legit, don't listen to me. But let's say reasons that warrant a repot. Let's say that you used an inadequate medium. Maybe it's a poor quality medium, you're at the beginning, you didn't know, you bought one of those commercial potting media that has more cocoa peat than anything, and you're discovering your orchid sits wet until the afterlife, you know? Yeah, that's a good reason to repot and change the medium. Also, maybe you didn't use a pot that you enjoy. Maybe you used like an average opaque pot, but you'd much rather have a transparent pot with some extra ventilation just to help you out. That's another good reason why you might want to repot. Also, maybe you didn't position the orchid properly. Maybe you were at the beginning and you put the smaller growth towards the middle because you thought, well, that's like the new growth, and it's actually the older growth. So now your orchid already is threatening to go out of the pot, even though you repotted a few months ago. So there are, as you can see, quite a few reasons which warrant a reevaluation of your repot just to make your life with the orchid easier, or even make the orchid's life easier. In my case, I don't know if the repot is warranted, but I do think it is because I'm going to show you what the problem is. In my case, I don't know what was in my mind, I don't know what possessed me, but I potted this orchid very high in the pot. Can we see? I don't know, I don't remember at this point if the roots were tall as well, or I just didn't have time. I don't know what happened, but this orchid sits so high, the rhizome is so high above the medium that in my very warm and dry environment, the new roots that want to grow stop growing by the time they reach the medium because it's very dry. Let me show you. All right, there. Can we see this little root that grew recently? We can see it's a brand new root. It's not actually coming from the new growth. The new growth will produce roots very soon, but it's even higher. So this root already stopped growing. Now, you might say, well, you can just spray the top of the medium to keep it more moist. I could if I had the availability and just willpower. But I do not, and you should already know this about me. Also, you could say, well, put some sphagnum moss on top and keep it moist, and everything should be okay. Again, not something I will do because that moss will dry out in 5 minutes in my environment. And also, I don't want exposed moss because it will develop cyanobacteria. Anyway, bottom line, the solution for me in this instance, even though I do have other options, which I don't want to use, is to repot and try to position this orchid a little lower in the pot, because if all of the new roots that this growth will start to grow in the air, they're just not going to make the potting mix, and sooner or later I will have to repot it. So at this point, because I repotted this one in March, it has been a few months, we might actually have some growing tips and some growing roots inside the medium. So yeah, I see one right here. The key word with this procedure is to be very gentle. So I will remove the stake. I will press a little bit on the potting mix. We have some roots growing here. Press a little bit on the pot. Yes, we might have a few roots that have grown, but not a ton of them. It's only been 3-4 months, something like that. So it's not a lot. So I pressed on the medium and I'm gonna pull up on the orchid. Alrighty, so because I want to see what I'm doing and why I potted this orchid so high, I will remove a little bit the medium. See what I did here? I put a plug in the middle, which is always great. Oh no, wait. Oh, I remember what happened. Okay, so this one, oh yeah, it's one of the seedlings, you guys. I forgot because it's so big. Yeah, it's one of the seedlings. It's an No-ID Cattleya hybrid that has been potted here. Yeah, since 2023, it grew, so I think I up-potted it. Did I? I might have. Sometimes my brain takes a break. So yeah, that's why it was so high in the pot, because I actually up-potted this orchid. I didn't remove the sphagnum moss plug because, in all fairness, the sphagnum moss I use lasts more than 2 years or a year and a half. So yeah, we had a whole bunch of roots here, which are kind of tall. And because I put the first layer, oh, actually, it's not the first layer that's the culprit. Do we see this pot has a very tall cone? If I move it a little, yeah, it has a super tall cone here. So my orchid was literally sitting on this cone because it had a plug. See, the investigation takes an unexpected plot twist. What I want to do is remove the plug. It is time. Not a good idea to keep the plug. No. Even if I'm gonna break away some of the older roots, that is fine. We're gonna have new roots soon. And I will prioritize the newer roots that I see here. So I will still be gentle, but like with the oldest roots from this side, I'm not gonna be that gentle. So let us remove the plug. I have lots of root tips, and the root tips I will try to be gentle with. Luckily, I do not compress my moss whenever I repot, so everything in here is so fluffy that I can just go ahead and remove the strands with my fingers. Also, I'm thinking I might separate this orchid. It has 2 directions of growth, and this one is splitting again. This is actually, coincidentally, the Cattleya that had the rotten new growth. We made a video on new growth rot, and I showed you how to remove the new growth that rotted. And it's this space here. As you can see, it's already dried. And the new growth is growing very fast. And I can see another eye just starting to wake up here. I'll give you a close-up. And again, in that video, I told you that at some point, some of the older growths might wake up as well if the leading growth it's damaged. Right, so I was saying that I'm thinking to separate this older part from the orchid just to maintain this pot, because I'm gonna I did a boo-boo, you guys. Okay, it's okay. I mixed the old plug sphagnum moss with the new sphagnum moss. I wanted to reuse the medium, but I mixed the 2 media, and I cannot tell which is the old sphagnum moss and which is the new one. Darn it. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna separate the moss from the bark. I'm gonna reuse the bark, or most of the bark, and use new moss, because I don't know. Well, there you go, that happens as well, it's okay. As I was saying, yeah, I don't need this part of the orchid. I think I'm gonna remove it. It's already kind of like wanting to separate anyway, and I do want to reuse this pot. So what I'm gonna do is I'm going to divide this orchid. Let's see. I think, yeah, the natural separation is here. I'm gonna do this. It was so easy. It just wanted to separate from there. So let's just try to untangle these. There we go. This is a division which I can plant separately. This is a very, very old pseudobulb that came off. And this is my main division, which I'm gonna keep as is. And it's going to fit my pot a lot better. So from here, I could actually keep all of the roots, but I won't. I see some older roots which don't look so good. I'm actually going to remove some of the roots. All right, let's do an exercise of imagination. Let's presume the reason you want to repot is not that your orchid is potted too high, but you want to change the pot. Well, what you could do if you just repotted your orchid, you could try to remove it from the pot like in one unit, in one go, and simply plop it into your new pot. If it's the same size, chances are you don't actually have to add any more medium. Or if you actually wanted to change the size of the pot to a bigger one, you could do that and just arrange some potting mix in the empty spaces around the orchid. You would want to, let's say, put the plug, let's say, to the side of your bigger pot and then add more medium to the other side. So that's how you would go if you'd want to change the pot. If you want to change the medium, obviously you need to remove all of the medium and don't reuse it. And again, if you just wanted to reposition the orchid, I think it would be better to remove the medium or parts of the medium from the roots, because if you put the entire plug in a new pot, you won't be able to push on the orchid too much to one side. So if your aim was to reposition your orchid with the old growth towards the side, I would just remove all of the medium, because it would just create tension with the side of the pot and you wouldn't be able to position it properly. Right, so I'm gonna cut away some of these dead roots. They're just a little tangled here. There we are. I said the keyword is being gentle, and I'm not gentle. Is this one root or multiple roots? I do not even know. What is going on? No. It was just an older root. I have a few very dead roots here, very spongy roots, so I'm gonna cut them down from the origin point. I cut a good one, I think, with them as well, but it doesn't matter, it's okay. We're gonna have new roots on the way very, very soon. This is spongy, I can cut this away too. Right, it's okay, I like working with less roots, to be honest. It's enough roots that this orchid will be okay. This root annoys me. It has many broken laterals. Righty, so at this point, with less roots as well, I can definitely position my orchid to the side of my pot and push it down a little lower in the pot as well. I think we did a good job. The bottom will always be sphagnum moss. I will reuse the bark, but I will use fresh slow release fertilizer because I see the beads here. I don't know how fresh they still are, and there is a chance I'm not gonna find all of them in the pile of bark. Right, I do believe this will be the type of orchid that will have a climbing rhizome. So from time to time, I will have to cut away the old growth. That's how I handle climbing orchids. There are other ways to handle them as well, but this is my preferred version. So yeah, very curious how this orchid will bloom. But for now, I think I can get away with about 2 years in this medium, in this pot, so that's good. Also, I'm gonna keep in mind that there is a new growth starting on this side and I have a new growth on this side too. So I'm gonna put this smack in the center so both of the growths have space. If I would do this business, because I have a new growth here, the new growth that will grow on this side will hit the side of the pot and it would be a bad repot once again. So I'm gonna push the old growth to the side of the pot and I'm gonna center the entire orchid because we have 2 directions of growth. Hope that made sense. So let's go ahead and add the bark. I'm going to use fresh sphagnum moss, as I was saying. So one blab to another, I kind of finished adding my last layer of moss. It is on this layer that I like to put my slow release fertilizer. And I'm gonna use a pinch and a half. That's good. And on top, I will use fresh bark because I want it to be moist. Dry. I don't want it to be moist at all. I want it to repel all type of moisture so that I don't get cyanobacteria. Oh my gosh, it's the bottom of my bark tray. I have a little bit bark left. It has a lot of dust. So I'm kind of trying to sieve it or separate it with my hand. So in between my fingers. Repotting today was not a good choice, but I didn't imagine I had so little bark. Anyway. But we are almost done. And yes, I do water freshly repotted orchids. This is a question. Is this too high yet again? Is this too high? How is it too high again? No. It is too high. Oh my gosh. Is this too... No, I can't. Oh my goodness. How did this go wrong? It's okay. We're still gonna post this. It's gonna be funny now. It's still too high. Oh, I know what happened. So I took my reference point from this growth here and I put it leveled. Nice, right? But this growth is like 2 stories high in comparison. Oh my goodness. Okay. So, okay. I'm going to get rid of this, all of this, and we're gonna do it again, but I'm gonna reuse everything that's in there. I'm just a little gutted about the bark because I don't have too much of it. Okay, well, we need to redo this. What a fail, but hey, I'm happy I got it on camera. Let's do this again. Wait, I'm gonna separate the bark. Clean bark here, and everything else here. Righty. So let's do this again. It happens, it's fine. Can you repot? Absolutely. We're gonna do it until we get it right, it's fine. Let's take the correct reference point, right? It doesn't matter if one of the growths will be a little bit buried. It's okay, the top layer is dry anyway. I want this growth, this. I will prioritize this. This one I want it to be leveled. We have a... Okay, we're gonna do another thing here. Goodbye. It's too low on the orchid. I don't want to keep it. I'm gonna cut this little nubbing here as well. There. Now if I don't get this right, I don't know. This is a good level. Let's do this real quick. This is the good thing about not like compacting and pressing on your medium too much, because we didn't actually damage any root. Everything is okay. Even though, honestly, we're gonna have new roots pretty soon, so it doesn't really matter, but still, we wanna be gentle. Oh gosh, the slow release fertilizer. We're gonna have to find it. There it is. Gonna have to put it back. Now that's what I'm talking about. I don't see any root in the air. Do you? That's what I wanna see. No roots in the air. Right? Finally, we are potted correctly for, well, I don't know, correct, incorrect, it doesn't matter. Adequately for our environment. There we go. And we also have the bark saved that I'm going to add on top. Ta-da! That took literally 2 minutes. It's okay. We saved the day. And yes, one of the growths is indeed buried in the first layer, but again, you will, especially if you have a very dry environment like I do, you will notice it will still sprout. It will still be okay. And it's gonna be at a low level. What I'm gonna do is, like in this area, I'm gonna press a little bit, you know, the medium, just to make sure I see the growth, so I keep an eye on it. Yeah, I see it now. This is a much more appropriate level for my environment. See? We fixed. No biggie. And now I shall sleep at night, finally, because this orchid has been on my mind. If you're wondering what keeps me up at night, orchids that are not potted correctly, parts of my garden which are not symmetrical, plastic pots that have a little crack. I'm kidding, by the way, this is just for entertainment. Right, so my orchid is now potted. I will go ahead and water it. I water all of my orchids. That's what I was saying. I always water my orchids after I repot them because I use a dry potting mix and everything is absolutely okay. I will put a new date on this tag and we are done for today. And hopefully it's not a tall type of cattleya, not a tall variety, because if it's a shorter one, it means it will bloom faster because it's already pretty tall. Right, so that is about it for today. Thank you so much for hanging out with me today and watching how I repot badly repotted orchid twice. I fixed my repotting twice, and I hope this was useful. You can absolutely go in and repot your orchids. It's absolutely fine. Just be a little bit careful. The problem, in my experience, with orchids set back due to repotting and such is when you already have a pretty root-bound orchid. If this orchid would have had like circles and circles of roots in the pot, that would have been an issue because those roots would have been old, one, and less adapted to changes in environment, and also small abrasions. Cattleyas don't tolerate small abrasions on their roots. That would have been indeed quite a delicate situation to be in, but an orchid like this that is just about to grow new roots and you just repotted it a few months ago, it didn't really have time to properly settle. I would say, just to be safe, you know, in the first month after you repot an orchid, you're absolutely safe to go ahead and repot if you feel like things are not right for whatever reason you might consider. It's up to you. It's absolutely fine and normal and okay. In the first month, you're the safest. Afterwards, as you can see, we have new growing tips and so on, which can be a little bit upset if you repot the orchid. But in the end, what's important is that you feel okay with the job you did. If you can time it to a particular time when if you're dealing with a cattleya, especially when your cattleya is just about to put on new roots, or you see brand new roots starting to grow, that is a perfect moment to address your bad repot. But you know, if you must do it, you must do it. Just try to be as gentle as possible and keep in mind the potential consequences. There are always potential consequences, and if that's okay with you, then go ahead and do your repot. There we have it. We addressed a badly repotted orchid twice, and I hope you learned something from this, or at least, you know, you feel a little bit better about yourself if you just keep on messing up repots. It's fine, it happens all the time. Are we gonna go and cry in the corner about it? No. Right, so that said, thank you for joining me today, and I hope you have a great day, and I'll see you all next time. Bye!